Hey you guys, I am Dr. Cade and I am sitting next to Coach Cason, and we've been trying to put together some videos in regards to the hurricane and helping people overcome. We are going to talk about water today. We're going to talk about the three biggest, most important things to pay attention to in water, and just hoping that, water hydrates you and gives you life. So shall we jump into them?
Let's do it.
All right, so I think I'm going to take the first one. We're going to talk about filtration. We're going to talk briefly about pH and its importance, and then Cason's going to talk all about structure. So filtration, pH, and structure. And I don't know if you've gone down the water aisle at Whole Foods or you've tried to buy bottled water before, or wherever it is that you're buying it. A lot of people will talk about filtration. A lot of people will talk about pH, right? The pH has been having a bit of a moment here lately in the water world, but nobody talks about structure. So we're going to let Cason slam dunk that one. So filtration is a big one. No conversation about water should be left without filtration. And so it's an important one, and we want to make sure that you're choosing the right one. And so it's not just important to filter your drinking water, but it's super important to make sure that your bath water and your shower water is cleansed as well. Why? You know, all of us are taking a hot bath or a hot shower. What happens to our pores? They open up and we soak in all of the good, we soak in all of the bad. Now, I've never been able to find a source on this, so I want to make sure that I say that with a disclaimer, but I've heard from multiple sources and practitioners in the functional medicine world that I respect greatly, is that when we take a hot shower, we absorb more of the chemicals through that hot shower than we do in drinking a week's worth of tap water.
Wow.
Does that make sense? That's pretty wild, isn't it?
That's
so
awesome.
That compares and contrasts big time how much we're really soaking through our skin and what we're breathing in that hot shower.
That's
right?
what I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what filtration is really important? So pretty much the gold standard that's out there is reverse osmosis. Why is that the gold standard? It takes everything out. And some sources will actually say that it's more of a dead water that you have at the end of that. It doesn't just take out the bad, it takes out all of the good as well. All of the minerals that are in the water, all of the salt, the potassium, the magnesium, the blend that's in that water, it takes it out. Along with all the chemicals, the pesticides, the glyphosate, the Roundup, right? All of the junk it takes out. So if you're going to do RO, which again we think is pretty much the gold standard as far as the level of filtration, you have to make sure that you're coming back through and you're balancing that water out with the pH and with the minerals. It's very, very important to do that. And so that would be RO, that would be pretty much the gold standard. Anything below that is going to be more of like a charcoal, kind of like a mixed media, where you're taking out, they'll usually say like 98, 99, 99.9% of the garbage that's out there. The thing that a charcoal filter doesn't do, which is typically the one that you're going to find in your fridge, is going to be fluoride. It will not pull fluoride out. So if you're interested, if you're on city water and you want to pull out fluoride, it's important. You're going to have to take a couple extra steps and a couple extra measures to do that, right?
Cool.
And then if you want to go any further, if you're on well, if you're on city, whatever the case is, it's always important. You can buy a water test that's out there. There's a great website that also makes filters, but they also sell tests. It's called Vitasalis, vitasalis.net. And you can buy a couple different, more in-depth than you're going to get from like a Home Depot here, that you can test the quality of the water. And all right, I think that's filtration.
Yep,
anything else we
one.
need to touch on there?
No, man, I'm always learning something from you. That's awesome.
It's fun, isn't it? It's fun. All right, so let's talk about pH really quick. pH is super important, and it's important that we have a balanced pH. So balanced pH on that scale from alkalinity to acidity is about 7, and that's what we're looking for with our water. Now the interesting part, you know, there's certain foods and there's certain drinks that we can get, like soda, that's going to be really acidic, and then on the flip side, things like if we go down the aisle and we look at bottled water, like from Fiji or something like that, or I always forget the red and black one. What's the red and black label?
Oh, that has it's got a high pH.
We should have been prepared for this video, but if you see a red and black bottle in the water aisle,
It's a square bottle.
it is Essentia.
Essentia,
yeah,
that's it.
So they talk about like a 10 pH or an 11 pH, and is it up that high? 9 pH?
I don't know if you can drink that.
I don't think you can drink that either. I'm glad we're talking out loud in this video.
Yeah.
But those types of pH, those waters are, again, had a big moment, right? And as far as, you know, most of the time people talk about acidity, disease, cancer existing in an acidic state. And so we're using water to try to balance that out on the other end of the spectrum. Well, that can create some of its own problems too when we're using water on that high of a spectrum.
Sure.
Why? The acidity of our stomach acid is meant to be really low. It doesn't match, and it can create some indigestion issues and some further gut issues down the track. And so watch the water acidity, watch the water alkalinity. We're looking for a balance. And how do you check? Just go buy some cheap pH test strips on Amazon or at your local health food store. It's a great way. And how is that helping you? You can always use that same pH strip to test your pH, right? Whether that's with saliva or with urine. And we should have different measurements and different ballparks that we should be in there. Anything else we should say about?
That gets down a whole.
It does. It's a big conversation.
Testing, yeah.
Yeah, but have fun with it. Those pH test strips are super cheap. And you can go as far as you want with it, but it's a fun experiment. You know, most of the homeschool kids, groups that I've been to that are presenting stuff, when those kids get a little bit older, that's a pretty common one. It's cool. It's very cool. So last one, we're going to tee you up, and I'm going to shut up here for a second, is structure. This is a big topic and one that most people don't know about. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think with the pH, that's a good segue into structured water because it shows that water has a charge to it.
Yeah.
And so this is living water or charged water, structured water. And I guess the best way to start would be there was a guy, Masaru Emoto. Sorry if I
say that 10 times fast.
Messed up the first name, but Emoto is how I say it. He did these amazing studies, and he wrote a book, right?
Yep, there's a book, and I think there's a documentary, or at least some YouTube videos out there.
All kinds of stuff. It's fascinating, but. And Cade, cut me off if I mess any of this up, but he went around to different places across the globe and collected water. And so like the Vatican, he collected holy water. From the sewers of, I think, Paris, France, he collected water. And he took this water, all different samples, and he froze it, and he magnified it, or looked at it through a magnifying glass. And so he saw that these cleaner, purer water sources, you know, from streams in the Vatican and these places that would be more pure, had a beautiful, more structured and symmetrical image. And then dirtier water would be like not as appealing to the eye, not as symmetrical. So then he also then took the test further, right? And he would have people sing to water, sing happy songs to water. He'd have people say affirmations, positive affirmations to the water, and then vice versa, you know, hard metal, like more like, I don't know, yucky songs, I guess you would say it, and then saying mean things to the water, and he did the same thing. He froze the water, and then he captured the water with a photograph, and then looked at those samples. And
just puts a smile on my face hearing you talk about this.
So
it's
cool,
amazing,
man.
It is.
Yeah, and so he's found the same thing, the happy, blessed water, or loving energy water, the happy song water image was beautiful. It was structured. It was like holographic, kind of like kaleidoscopic, and you know, like snowflakes, you know, that you see.
They say no two snowflakes are the same. Right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting how, you know, that intention, you know, whether it was a blessing or a prayer or a curse word, right, or something something derogatory, right, would change how that water formed. I mean, it's amazing to think about that.
Sure.
But what does that mean? Take that. What does that mean to the people that are listening?
Yeah, well, I mean, it means this goes really deep. I mean, we could go on for hours, but the point is, water has a consciousness. Water has memory. Water, we are water. What, 70% water?
I think even more.
Maybe even more. Like, everything is water. Water runs the show here. If you could go for a while without eating, but you can't go that long without drinking water.
It's true.
So we need it. It runs our cells. It's how our minerals are made and put into the cell. It's how our muscles work. It's everything. So the structure of this water, or the quality of this water, how blessed this water is, how loved this water is, how pure this water is, has everything to do with our health. Amazing. So, I mean, this goes. Just look up structured water and read up on, you know, Emoto's experiments, right? And there's a guy named Gerald Pollack. He talks about the fourth phase of water. There's actually, you know, another phase of water besides solid, liquid, and gas, which is mind-blowing in itself. But yeah, water has memory. We can do a lot with water and our intentions to it. Yep. You know, I've heard Dr. Cade tell patients to bless their water before they drink it, because that obviously now, you know, with Emoto's studies means something. Yep. And I think we've known this for millennia, because, you know, there's something called holy water, you know, in churches. It's in all kinds of churches and baptisms, you know, and all these things that water is used for.
Well, look at the great lengths that, you know, our current civilization and, you know, past civilizations have gone to maintain fresh water and quality of water, right? And now it's so simple. I mean, we turn the tap and we're so disconnected from that source and the health of that water. But this is a great way, at least, to have some control over that. If you can't filter it, if you can't do anything about the pH, we all all know that you can say a compliment, or you can sing, or you can hum, or you can bless that water, right? And it may seem silly, but I think we're both sold that, if you do look into this further, it's mind-blowing. And I remember years ago, you remember the TV show Mythbusters?
Yeah.
They were doing something with microwaving water and not microwaving water, or microwaving water and heating it up on the stove, and there was a change in that because the energy is different, right?
Absolutely.
They also did that experiment with plants as far as blessing plants and cursing at plants, and there was a huge difference in the growth. And so I just wonder, if we're around, people that lift us up, we all know how we feel, when we find our tribe, if you will, or around people that encourage us. And we all know how we feel when we're around somebody who is verbally abusive or negative or dealing with a trauma. We pick up on those things, and I just wonder, how much of where water is in that connection there.
Well,
right?
we are water.
Yeah.
So, what can we do to our own water of our body and to other people's water of their body that they are,
Love it.
The one thing that, the whole point here, I think, that I'm trying to make is that toxins affect our water.
Yep.
We didn't even get into plastics and water being into plastic or being in plastic and what that does to the water, but these toxins affect our water. So we need to do our best to get the purest and cleanest and most structured, loved water that we can get, whether it's showering in it, drinking it, or I don't know what else you can do with water.
Dancing in it?
Yeah. So I think that's it.
Good place to leave it there. So if you've got more questions on water, you can always reach out to us. But again, the three big ones are going to be filtration, pH, and structure. Lots of fun things that you can dig into there. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. So thanks for listening to us. Coach Cason, you're awesome. Thank you, buddy. Looking forward to seeing you guys soon.